Today I'm really excited to draw my February bullet journal theme. You know why? I'm going to draw it with coffee. And only with coffee. Oh god, why am I making my life even harder? Nah, just kidding. It was pretty easy actually. The two spreads took me like 1 hour to do, which is not a lot of time. I mean, usually I'm spending way more time on my spreads. Hi friends, it's Emilia here and you're watching Bullet Journal Engineer. Prepare your cup of coffee for you and one for your journal, and let's get started. I've been looking at people drawing with coffee for a long time. Always seemed like an interesting experiment and I've been wanting to do it in my dojo for ages. But my inconsistent mind was always finding other theme ideas and I pushed back the coffee idea for a long time. And finally, I'm more than 3 years late filming this video. To be honest, the thing that clicked in my mind saying, Emilia, remember that people can draw with coffee, was the Montly theme by Adobe Pages, which she did with coffee as well, and it turned out awesome. I'll link her profile in the description so you can check it out. But first things first, let's start with the coffee. The funny thing is that I'm not a coffee person. I have no understanding of the different types of coffee, so the biggest struggle for me was not to draw the bread itself, but to find a decent coffee. And since my mom is a coffee freak, I had help from her, and of course I had zero luck at that specific day when I was filming. She had run out of coffee and she only had capsules. Just to mention that although we have coffee machine, we don't use it because we don't like wasting this plastic just for one coffee. It's ridiculous. People, if you like coffee, please use regular bean coffee. Struggle number 2 was the coffee machine itself. So no matter that I'm an engineer, I had hard time learning how to turn on that coffee machine. Anyway, at the end I did it, so we have a good black coffee. Before bringing it to the shooting table, I did a quick test on the pen test page. If you don't know what this page is, check it out in the tutorial link in the description. The color is really nice, so let's continue. And we're back here and we're ready to paint with coffee. This is the January spread we did last, and here are the next 3 pages for our February. My idea for this spread is to be something very different from January. I like to feel the contrast between the 2 months. And why not to move from the galaxy to barista shop? By the way, after the end of this video, my notebook really smelled of coffee as strongly as I have lived in Starbucks for 2 years. I'm not complaining. Even if I can't stand the coffee taste, I love its aroma. So I write February with more sketchy and freely font. Sometimes I deliberately sketch the corners of the letters so it can be more sketchy. I don't know another word for that, but yeah, you can see it here. My main idea for the right page is to have a cup of coffee at the bottom, from which brown steam, of course drawn with coffee, will come out as a background for the letters. Of course, first of all, I need to draw my cup. At first, I had some misconception that I would be able to color the cup myself only with help of coffee, but later applying the color, I realized that if I do not at least make outline, the cup will be actually looking like a big brown spot with different shades. Thanks God, in the beginning, my 2 brain cells saw this problem and I made an outline with a grey brush of Faber-Castell. I continue with the coloring of the coffee and then with the painting of the steam. It turned out to be a little bit harder than I expected to go around these letters because of their sketchiness. First, of course, I start with the palette layer as I normally do with watercolor. In fact, the funny thing is that there are no nuances here because the coffee I have is just very pale. Don't be fooled by its black appearance in the cup. In fact, it has quite a white tone than you see now. Before I started painting this spread in my head today, I imagined adding up all those layers of brown and they will get darker and darker. Yes, but that's not how actually it happened. I put a layer upon layer and the difference is barely noticeable. The interesting thing here is that I did the same coffee drawing on a watercolor paper and there you can actually layer up the colors. So maybe something from the paper, I don't know. But here it didn't happen at all, so I can call my channel not Bullet Journal Engineer, but how the things didn't work out exactly as they should. I continue on the left with a calendar. Well, before that I'll draw a circle like a coffee stain. I'm actually amazed how perfect circle I made, and because it's never enough to just smear the page with the bottom of the cup, well, I spill it a little. Now I'm going to try a technique I saw from Cassie Godden, and this is to blow the drops with a hairdryer. So to have something to be blown, I add a little more water on the page and I run the hairdryer at maximum speed. Okay, I'm pleased with the result. Now let's try the other side. Well, okay, it's a horror. People, this is the most not natural drop of water I've ever seen. If it was a real coffee, I would say that the gravity had suddenly changed direction. And one time was not enough for me, so I tried second time and I got the same result. Yay, good Emilia, as Einstein said that it's madness to do something the same way and expect to achieve different results, so I will not be an idiot for a third time. And I leave the technique with that hairdryer and continue only with a brush. You can see the shape is actually the same on each drop. At first it's wide, then it got a bit thin, and then it has something like a drop-like form. And here we have some successful artificial drops. Before filling in the calendar inside, I dry it with a hairdryer, but this time on the weakest trim of fairs so that the drops from the page do not fly away. I'm thinking of filling them with such prints, but this time I won't make them by hand, but with the bottom of my mother's coffee cup. And after I'm using my mother's coffee and my mother's coffee machine and her cup, thank you mom for sponsoring this video, even if you don't know it yet. I smear the bottom of the cup with plenty of coffee and I turn it over the page. Well, it didn't turn out exactly as I imagined, and maybe it would have been a better idea to put a draft sheet as not to cover the other pages below the edge, but the past is gone, so yeah, I'll have some extra covered pages underneath this one. The next stain is between the two pages and there is no way to do it with a cup, so I'm gonna draw it by hand with a brush. And finally I add some splashes and I add final touches of the page, and as always I write a quote. If there are no quotes, it's not my notebook. Because of this theme with my coffee, I trumped on some of the most valuable tips for painting with a watercolor, and most important, to not overdo it with water. People, this is a lot of water here. I mean, I have a lot of water on my page. Even if it is easy to paint, prepare your hair dryers or something that blows warm air to draw your pages quickly. And here is our chaotic page right now. Oh, I forgot to congratulate February. So yes, I write hello February. Well, I think we're ready. We continue with a page for goals and trackers. On the right, I dedicate the entire page to the daily stuff tracker. This is my favorite tracker, but I'll talk about it later. First, we'll make the left page. I set aside a white field around which I scatter a few cup prints. There I'm gonna write my monthly goals, and on the right I'm gonna do my revision, so at the end of the month I will just write what I did good or what I can do more or what I can improve. I keep saying that there is no point of setting goals that will not be just reviewed later. In this way you just put some words, and if you don't achieve your goals, then okay, fine, they're in the past. It's not how it works. So you need to understand why you failed and how you can meet your next goals as well. But yep, in a nutshell, guys, just do a revision of your goals. It's really helpful. Maybe one of my first goals for this month will be to learn how to write correctly in English. I don't know what my hand is doing right there. I mean, I will pretend that this mistake is not there. So the first tracker that I'm doing is for reading. And yes, I'll do a square for every day. I have to admit that it's a little annoying how the whole month is a squarish, but only the first days of every week. They're called Monday, Emilia, yes. Every Monday it just switched with one day down. You can see it here. It's not a perfect square. I mean, oh. The next tracker is for the days I ate healthy. No chips, no overeating, and yes, also I want to eat as much as I need. In fact, I think this is a very important tracker because nowadays many people are constantly overeating without thinking about whether they need all this food. Don't get me wrong, I love delicious food and eating constantly, but by eating more food than we actually need, we harm the nature by consuming resources that we don't need. And secondly, we harm our body because we take more than we can handle. I'm not talking about weight here, I mean at all. Everyone feels good in their own way, in their own skin, but constant overeating does not lead to anything good. Finally, we move to the right page where we will make our ultimate daily tracker. This is a tracker that I created according to my needs around 3 years ago, and since then I use it most regularly at the beginning of each month. Most of the trackers that each of us use are widespread, and honestly I've never seen a tracker like this in any other creator's journal. That's why I can't wait to share it with you. I think it's really helpful. I'm even considering making a special short video for this daily tracker at the end of February to explain how it works and what can you do with it. You can track so many things in it, but here in short, the tracker consists of the following. In the vertical, I write from 1 to 21, and those are the days from the month. February has 28 days at the moment. Then on each line, I write from 1 to 24 for the hours of the day. As I live in Europe, we use the 24-hour format, but if you're from the United States or from somewhere else where you don't use the 24-hour format, you can just write from 1 to 12 two times and mark AM or PM above. It works. And my way is to enter the hours in each row. Maybe it seems like a lot of writing. If you want, you can make your life easier and you can only label them at the top. But since there are a lot of squares that you have to watch down, it can sometimes be really confusing. So that's why I prefer to lose 10 minutes of the start of the month so I can fill all the hours, and then my life would be more easier filling this spread through the month. And now that I've completed all the squares and all the numbers, it's time to choose 5 colors from our pen test page. Each color will correspond to a certain activity that I will track. To keep up with the theme, I choose dark brown for work, light brown for sleep, golden for social, ochre for my family, and gray for other activities. And now I'm gonna explain how I fill this spread. So for example, if I went to bed at 11 o'clock in the evening and I woke up at 7 o'clock, I'm gonna fill this bar like from 11 to 7 in the morning with the golden color. If I start my work from 8 to 5, I'm gonna cover this entire line with a dark brown. And by filling this tracker daily, at the end of the month, you can actually see where your time goes. On the right, you can see a picture of my daily stuff tracker from March 2021, how it looks like at the end of the month. It's really amazing. Sometimes, you're doing things in your family, going to work, and at some point, you don't have any time for the things that you want. But we have 168 hours per week, which is a lot of time. So by this tracker, you can actually track where goes every hour of your daily life. I have a lot to talk about this tracker, and I'm really gonna make a special video for it in 1 or 2 weeks, so yep, stay tuned. Overall, I'm happy with how the coffee theme turned out. In the next video, I will make the weekly spreads with several different new designs, and if you want to see more videos like this, just subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video, guys, and until then, don't forget to stay on the sunny side.